2003, right after U.S. troops had rolled into Baghdad with barely breaking a sweat and Saddam's army had disappeared, people thought things were going to continue to go that smoothly. At that time, I wrote a piece for the Globe about military occupations. As a part of that, I talked to a specialist in the Middle East, and something he said really stayed with me. The Soviet occupation of Afghanistan gave us the Taliban. The American occupation of Saudi Arabia during the first Gulf War gave us bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. The Israeli occupation of Lebanon gave us Hezbollah. Let us see what the American occupation of Iraq is going to give us. Well, the suspense is over. The U.S. occupation of Iraq gave us the insurgency, and that gave us ISIS. Paul Bremer became the face of the Iraq failure in many ways. So in May of 2003, after the military campaign in Iraq had gone really well, but the chaos was starting to become very clear, the Bush administration turned to Paul Bremer and asked him to go in and be essentially the American viceroy, the guy in charge there, and asked him to put the place back together. There were two hugely consequential decisions he made very early, like within the first 2 weeks on the job in Baghdad, that have ramifications to this day. The first one was called the De-Baathification Order, and that was an idea to rid from the Iraqi government anyone who had served at a certain level in Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath political party. What this order failed to do was distinguish between people who were Saddam true believers and people who had just been part of the party because they wanted to hang on to their jobs or feed their family or live. The second mistake, which is even bigger, was an order Bremer announced to disband the entire Iraqi military. You had overnight almost 500,000 Iraqi soldiers who were unemployed, angry, and armed. And that fueled the Sunni insurgency as well as the Shia militias that came to bedevil the whole project of getting Iraq back together again. It's important to remember that people above Bremer are much more responsible for the huge mistakes that set in motion all the problems in Iraq. And the biggest of these failures is the lack of planning. It's almost unbelievable when you think about how little planning the Bush administration put into thinking about the post-war period. In World War II, planning for the post-war began 2 years before the end of combat. In the Bush administration, planning, and kind of haphazard at that, began only 2 months before the end of combat. And Bremer, when he was appointed to try to solve problems after the mess was already becoming clear, was given only 2 weeks to prepare. That's not how you plan for a post-war period that's going to have any success.